Greetings all, Dr. X here. Okay, I thought I'd go ahead and we do some journal entries today to prepare you for your next exam. So for this example, please prepare journal entries, general journal entries to record the following transactions. And for this assignment, they're letting us know we don't have to include explanations about what the transaction is. So basically, all we'll be entering is date, description, debit, and credit. Now, one of the things you should first notice is they have the post reference information here, but there's no information given in your assignment about what those should be. So we're just going to go ahead and black those out because there's no information you're going to give on the computer system for that. So just ignore that column basically, even though they included it. So we're going to go ahead and start off with journal entry number 1. Now, again, here's a shortcut. If at all possible, enter the amount that you're dealing with first, because remember, the debits always have to balance with the credits. So if it's a $1,500 transaction, then there'll be $1,500 on the debit side, $1,500 on the credit side. For this date, we're going to use January 2nd. So all you'll have to do then is figure out what goes in the debit side and what goes in the credit side. Well, so you're paying office rent. Then the debit side is the rent expense. And what are you using to pay that? You are using cash to pay that. So cash is on the credit side, rent expenses on the debit side, and they balance out. On to the next line. And for January 3rd, it looks like we bought a truck costing $45,000, making a down payment of $5,000. So you bought a truck for $45,000 total. That'll be on the debit side. And then how you paid for it was you gave $5,000 as the down payment. So that leaves $40,000. Now, the easiest way to do this is in Excel is just to take the debit minus the deposit you gave as a credit, and that leaves $40,000. So what goes here? Well, the $5,000 you gave was cash. You purchased a truck. So what you got was a truck. You paid cash for it. And the rest of it, you agreed to pay another company for it. And that then would be an accounts payable, something that your company is going to have to pay in the future. So let me just indent these. All right, so that is the entry for January 3rd. Let's move on to January 5th. So on January 5th, you had to pay wages of $4,000. So for that $4,000, you used cash to make the payment. And what you did was have paid for a wages expense. Now, remember what I've been telling you. Anytime there's an expense, the expense is on the debit side, at least for this assignment. The expense is on the debit side, and then how you pay for it will be on the credit side. And because you can't pay wages with an accounts payable, then you pay that with cash. So cash is the correct answer there. All right, on to the January 9th entry. For January 9th, you received $20,000 cash from customers for services performed. Okay, so you know that it's $20,000 and you received cash. So cash then becomes the debit because it's what you bought in, it's what you received. And to pay for it, this was for services. So we're going to call this service fee. Now, the services fee is revenue. This is money that you bought in for services you performed. Okay. So just remember services fee is revenue, and that'll take care of that journal entry. On to January 12th, we paid $4,000. It owed on last month's bills. So you have bills, right? All of us have bills. And you paid $4,000 on those bills. Now, you paid with cash. And what did you pay? You paid on bills that are part of your accounts payable. So you paid cash, $4,000 toward your accounts payable. So that takes care of January 12th. All right, January 15th. So you billed some credit customers $5,500. Think of it this way. You just performed your consulting services, and now you're giving them a bill. They want to pay you on credit. So if you're doing that, then what you're doing is you are giving them an accounts receivable bill, and that is for services you provided. So there's the service fee revenue that you're getting for that. So for this one, it's accounts receivable, service fee. On to the next one, January 18th. So on January 18th, you received $1,800 from one of your credit customers. So the amount that we'll be receiving is $1,800. So if we received a payment, it is cash that came in. And this is for one of the accounts receivable bills that you have. So on the credit side, it is accounts receivable. Okay, on to January 20th. For the January 20th entry, Michelle Green, who's the owner of this company, took out an owner's draw. She withdrew $1,500. So the amount is $1,500. To take that out, she had to take out cash. She was given cash. And this is owner's draw. Green is the name of the owner. So that's the owner's draw. She was given cash. Your cash went down because you took $1,500 out. And that gets debited to owner's draw and credited to cash. For January 25th, paid $1,000 on an amount owed for the truck. Remember the truck you bought on January 3rd? Now what you're going to do is you're going to pay $1,000 towards your bill, your truck bill. What was left here on the $40,000. So you're making the payment with cash, and this is going to your accounts payable. Because remember here, you put it in the accounts payable. So now you're giving yourself, you put it in as a credit here. So now you're debiting $1,000 and you're paying for that with cash. Okay, on to the last entry. Okay, so you received the bill for utilities expenses. So you will debit utilities. Now, because this says that you received the bill, it doesn't say you paid the bill. Then what Michelle Green is doing, what you would be doing as Michelle Green, is you would be crediting this to your accounts payable. So basically, you're adding the bill to the accounts payable that you'll pay in the future. So for January 29th, that is the entry. Utilities expense, you will debit $225, and accounts payable, you will credit $225. Now that we have that final entry in, let's just double check the columns to make sure they add up. We'll just use Excel and sum up the columns. The same over here, just make sure everything is included. And notice they both come up with the same amount. So that's how you know you entered the right amounts for debits and for credits. And that takes care of all the entries here, all the journal entries you'll need to do for this assignment. Now, if you have questions about anything I've covered in this video, go ahead and leave those in the comments below. Otherwise, we are done for today. Thanks so much for watching the video and have a terrific week.